If you know me well enough, you know I will say things that sometimes are, eh, maybe not entirely inappropriate, but they're not always the way a therapist is supposed to sound. Period. I have an actor in the group the other day who said it. He said, hey doc, he's a well-known actor, and he said, I just want you to know, he said, I'm glad I got in your group on domestic violence and anger management. He said, because he said, I was really pissed to have to do these classes and where they get a court assigned for a year or whatever. And I've had many people say the same thing. He said, I saw this as a penalty. But he said, after a few months, he said, I'm realizing I'm really learning something. But he said, I can tell you, if you were the quote unquote proper therapist who was always saying, now, how do we feel about this? And let us all talk about this. And let's reflect on that. He said, I probably wouldn't listen to you. But he said, your joke and poke therapy that you use works. And what I mean by that is I joke. I figure most of the people in my groups have a lot more money than I do, unfortunately. And most of them are pretty damn successful in what they do. And I'm sitting here waiting to do more. So if I just sat there and said, you need to do this, you need to do that. In fact, a few years ago, I had a new young therapist come in, and Anna was her first name, and she came in and she said, this is going to be great. I can't wait to do this and that. And she said, but you got a lot of the men in the domestic violence group and the anger management group. I do also have some women in the groups, okay? But she said, I said, Anna, you have to be careful. I said, when you're talking to them, don't stop and tell them they did it wrong because this is what it says in the books. I said, they're young. You're young. They're older than you. They've got more money than you. They've got more experience. So I do it by joke and poke. I kid about things. I laugh about things. I make things informal. And then I zap them with things sometimes. I had this guy in group the other night, and he's told us how many times he was perfect and that he's, the women just are loving him, okay, and how beautiful he is. And of course, I'm looking at him thinking, really? But whatever. And so, the other night he was just going on and on and on about how this wasn't fair, the way the laws went against him and all this sort of stuff. And he's so great, and he's so nice, and he's so whatever. And why wouldn't somebody want to be with him? And this is where the joke part sort of comes in. I stopped and I said, dude, I said, you're loud, you're annoying, and you're a self-centered, egotistical twit. Other than that, you're fine. And, he was like, what? But I could see as I watched around, we're on Zoom, and I saw the different people on the Zoom thing were laughing like, we agree, okay? We don't always look at ourselves, and we really need to at times, okay? But as I say, again, if I played super therapist and like, I think maybe you have a little stress and strain going on that's causing you to be a little bit overexertive and a little bit louder than you should be, and blah, 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 he's not going to listen. Yes, I have the PhD. Somewhere back on there is the wall says PhD. But I always say it's like, stands for piled higher and deeper. So I have more education than the rest of the people. Yep. But it doesn't always mean it's better. Doesn't mean I know what to do with it. Okay. Life is a journey, as I say, and this is where, life journeys with Dr. G. We want to talk about how to get through things, how to make things work for you. And it may not be the same as for everybody else. Remember that.